What if everything you know, your life, the universe, reality itself, is merely the unconscious dream of a cosmic blind god? Today, we're exploring the terrifying concept of Azathoth, the blind idiot god, from H.P. Lovecraft's cosmic horror tales. We'll examine how this fictional entity connects to ancient beliefs, historical references, and cutting-edge scientific theories. Could there be more truth to Azathoth than mere myth? Stay with us as we uncover the shocking parallels between Azathoth and real-world philosophies that challenge the very foundation of our existence. Azathoth stands as one of the most formidable and incomprehensible entities in H.P. Lovecraft's sprawling mythology of cosmic horror. Known by the chilling titles of the Blind Idiot God, Nuclear Chaos, and the Demon Sultan, Azathoth is described as a writhing, shapeless mass of constantly shifting tentacles and appendages that defy any conventional understanding of form or structure. He possesses no defined shape, existing as pure primordial chaos given form, or perhaps more accurately given formlessness. This cosmic entity dwells at the very center of the universe, occupying a position of supreme importance, while remaining utterly unconscious of his role. He is surrounded by the monotonous, maddening sound of flutes played by lesser beings known as the other gods, whose sole purpose is to keep him in eternal slumber through their endless, hypnotic melodies. These attendant deities understand the cosmic importance of their task, for they know that Azathoth's awakening would spell the end of everything that exists. The most terrifying aspect of Azathoth is his complete and utter unconsciousness. He has no self-awareness, no consciousness of his own existence, and no understanding of the universe that depends entirely upon his dreaming state. While he sleeps in his cosmic throne room, surrounded by the maddening music of his attendants, the universe continues to exist as nothing more than a projection of his dreaming mind. However, should he ever awaken from his eternal slumber, all of reality would instantly cease to exist, as everything we know, from the smallest subatomic particle to the largest galactic cluster, is merely a product of his unconscious thoughts. This creates a paradox of existence, where the most powerful being in the universe is also the most unaware, and where our continued existence depends entirely on the continued unconsciousness of a blind god who dreams us into being without even knowing we exist. Azathoth exists beyond the normal constraints of time and space, residing in a realm that cannot be accessed through conventional means or understood through human perception. The only pathway to reach him is through dreams, visions, and altered states of consciousness, highlighting his complete detachment from the physical world as we understand it. This dreamlike quality of his existence mirrors the way he creates reality itself, for just as our dreams feel real while we experience them, but are revealed as illusions upon waking, so too might our entire universe be nothing more than the fleeting dream of a sleeping god. In Lovecraft's cosmological framework, our entire universe, with all its complexity, beauty, terror, and wonder, is nothing more than Azathoth's dream. Everything we perceive, from the flow of time to the structure of space, from the fundamental forces of physics to our very existence as conscious beings, are simply projections from his unconscious mind. This concept mirrors our own dream experiences in a way that is both familiar and deeply unsettling. When we dream, we are unaware that we are creating an entire reality within our minds. That dream world feels absolutely real while we're experiencing it, complete with characters, environments, narratives, and even physical sensations. Yet it's nothing but an illusion generated by our unconscious processing of memories, emotions, and random neural activity. Similarly, Azathoth's power operates on this same principle but on a cosmic scale. While he sleeps in his formless state at the center of all existence, his unconsciousness generates not just a single dream world, but the entire fabric of reality itself. Because he is blind and unaware, he has no control over his creation, no intention behind the worlds that spring from his dreaming mind, and no awareness of the countless lives that depend on his continued slumber. This leads to a profoundly disturbing possibility that challenges everything we think we know about existence. What if our entire reality is just the dream of a cosmic being who doesn't even realize its own power? What if every moment of joy, every instance of suffering, every achievement of civilization, and every act of love or cruelty is nothing more than the random firing of neurons in the mind of a sleeping god. The implications of this concept are staggering and almost too terrible to contemplate. If Azathoth were to awaken, whether through some cosmic disturbance, the failure of his attendant musicians, or simply the natural end of his cosmic sleep cycle, everything we know would vanish instantly. Not destroyed in the conventional sense, but simply ceasing to exist as the dream that gave it form comes to an end. We are in this terrifying scenario, nothing more than figments of imagination in the dreams of a blind god, our entire existence contingent on the continued unconsciousness of a being who doesn't even know we exist. The concept of Azathoth as the blind god finds remarkable and often startling parallels in ancient Gnostic traditions that predate Lovecraft's work by nearly 2 millennia. In Gnostic cosmology, which emerged in the early centuries of the Christian era, there exists a figure called the demiurge, a creator god who is often described as ignorant, arrogant, or blind to true spiritual reality. This being, known by various names including Yaldabaoth, Saklas, and Samael, was believed to have created the material world not out of divine wisdom or love, but out of ignorance and a misguided desire to be worshipped as the one true God. According to Gnostic beliefs, the demiurge created the material world as a kind of prison, trapping human souls in a limited, illusory existence far removed from the true spiritual realm of light and knowledge. This concept bears a striking similarity to Azathoth as the unconscious creator of reality, for both figures create worlds without true understanding or awareness of what they are doing. The Gnostics believed that the material world was an illusion, created by a divine being who, in his ignorance and blindness, had imprisoned human souls in a false reality that prevented them from accessing their true spiritual nature. The Gnostics also believed that secret knowledge, gnosis, was the key to escaping this material prison. Through esoteric knowledge, mystical experience, and spiritual awakening, one could pierce through the veil of illusion created by the demiurge and access the true reality of the spiritual realm beyond. This quest for forbidden knowledge that leads to transcendence or terrible revelation is a recurring theme in both Gnostic beliefs and Lovecraft stories, where characters often seek to uncover dark secrets that allow them to glimpse other dimensions or realities beyond human comprehension, usually at the cost of their sanity or their lives. Beyond Gnostic traditions, similar concepts appear in various ancient mythologies and philosophical systems across different cultures and time periods. In Hindu cosmology, specifically within the tradition of Advaita Vedanta, the material world is considered Maya, a cosmic illusion created by Brahman, the universal consciousness. Like Azathoth's dream, Maya prevents individual souls from perceiving ultimate reality, keeping them trapped in a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth until they achieve enlightenment and realize their true nature as one with Brahman. The similarity to Azathoth's unconscious dreaming of reality is striking, as both concepts suggest that what we perceive as the solid, objective world is actually a kind of cosmic dream or illusion maintained by a higher consciousness. Buddhist philosophy presents the concept of samsara, which describes existence as a cycle of illusion and suffering, where beings remain trapped in a dreamlike state of ignorance until they achieve enlightenment and escape the wheel of rebirth. The Buddha taught that ordinary perception is fundamentally flawed and that what we take to be reality is actually a construction of our own minds, colored by desire, aversion, and ignorance. This bears a resemblance to the idea that our reality might be nothing more than the unconscious projection of Azathoth's sleeping mind. Even in Western philosophical traditions, we find echoes of these ideas. Plato's famous allegory of the cave suggests that our perceived reality is merely shadows on a wall cast by a higher, truer reality that exists beyond our normal perception. The prisoners in the cave mistake the shadows for reality itself, just as we might mistake Azathoth's dream for objective existence. This Platonic notion of a higher reality beyond the world of appearances has influenced Western thought for over 2 millennia and continues to resonate with those who question the nature of existence and perception. H.P. Lovecraft was an extraordinarily well-read individual and an avid scholar of ancient cultures, mythologies, religions, and esoteric traditions. Throughout his life, he delved deeply into ancient texts, archaeological discoveries, anthropological studies, and occult writings, many of which describe divine beings and cosmic entities wielding unimaginable power over the universe. His personal library contained works on comparative mythology, ancient history, and esoteric philosophy, and his correspondence reveals a deep fascination with the mysteries of the past and the possibility that ancient peoples might have possessed, knowledge that modern civilization has lost or forgotten. While Lovecraft never explicitly claimed to have directly based Azathoth on any specific historical figure or mythological entity, the parallels between his descriptions and various esoteric beliefs throughout history are too numerous and detailed to be mere coincidence. Scholars of Lovecraft's work have theorized that he may have been influenced by his extensive reading in Gnostic philosophy and its concept of the blind demiurge, esoteric traditions that gained popularity in the early 20th century, including theosophy and various occult movements, ancient chaos magic and primordial creation myths from cultures around the world, and contemporary authors like Arthur Machen and Lord Dunsany, who also explored mythological and supernatural themes in their writings. The concept of existence as an illusion and the universe as an unconscious dream may have been inspired by these ancient belief systems, which Lovecraft then adapted, amplified, and transformed to create his unique cosmic horror mythology. What makes Lovecraft's vision particularly powerful is how he combined these ancient ideas with modern scientific concepts and a thoroughly materialist worldview, creating a mythology that feels both ancient and utterly contemporary. The idea that the universe could be a dream, illusion, or mental construct extends far beyond Lovecraft's fiction and has been a subject of serious philosophical inquiry throughout human history. Philosophers and scientists have explored this concept from various angles, leading to some of the most profound questions about the nature of reality, consciousness, and existence itself. George Berkeley, the influential 18th century Irish philosopher, argued that reality does not exist independently of the mind that perceives it. According to Berkeley's idealist philosophy, the material world is merely a projection of our perceptions, existing only because we perceive it through our senses. Berkeley famously summarized his position with the Latin phrase esse est percipi, to be is to be perceived. This idea closely resembles the concept of Azathoth as the dreamer of the universe, for if reality exists only in perception, then what happens when the perceiver ceases to perceive? If Azathoth's unconscious mind is what perceives and thereby creates our universe, then his awakening would indeed mean the end of everything, as there would no longer be a cosmic consciousness to maintain the dream of existence. Georg Wilhelm. Friedrich Hegel, the German idealist philosopher, proposed that reality itself is the product of what he called the absolute, a cosmic consciousness that evolves and develops over time but remains fundamentally unaware of itself during much of this process. In Hegel's complex philosophical system, the universe is the product of this evolving absolute consciousness, which generates reality unconsciously through a dialectical process of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. This concept bears an eerie similarity to Lovecraft's portrayal of Azathoth, who unconsciously generates the universe through his dreaming mind without any awareness of what he is creating or why. The concept of Azathoth also connects powerfully to existential philosophy, particularly the works of thinkers who grappled with questions of meaning, purpose, and human significance in an apparently indifferent universe. Jean-Paul Sartre's exploration of existence preceding essence suggests that we exist first and only later create meaning and purpose for ourselves. But what if our very existence is contingent on the unconscious dreams of a cosmic entity? Albert Camus developed his concept of the absurd, the fundamental conflict between humanity's desire for meaning and the universe's apparent meaninglessness. And Azathoth represents the ultimate expression of this absurdity, a universe created without purpose by a God who doesn't even know he's creating it. Friedrich Nietzsche's famous declaration that God is dead and his exploration of what this means for human existence takes on new dimensions when considered in light of Azathoth, a god who is neither dead nor alive, but simply unconscious, creating and sustaining reality through his very obliviousness. In recent decades, scientific theories and philosophical concepts have emerged that align surprisingly well with Lovecraft's cosmic vision, suggesting that his fictional mythology might contain more truth than anyone originally suspected. These modern ideas lend a kind of scientific credibility to concepts that were once purely the domain of fiction and philosophy. Philosopher Nick Bostrom's simulation hypothesis has gained significant attention in both academic and popular circles. This hypothesis suggests that our reality could be nothing more than a highly advanced computer simulation created by some future or alien civilization with tremendous computational power. If this theory is correct, then everything we perceive as real, our bodies, our planet, our universe, would be artificial constructs, ones and zeros in a cosmic computer program. In this context, Azathoth could be seen as a metaphor for the programmer or the computer system itself, an entity that has unconsciously set our simulated universe in motion, unaware of the consequences, complexities, or individual lives existing within the simulation it has created. Just as Azathoth dreams the universe into being without any awareness of his creation, the hypothetical programmers of our reality might be completely indifferent to or unaware of the lives and experiences of the beings within their simulation. This parallel becomes even more disturbing when we consider that the entities running such a simulation might not even be conscious in any way we would recognize. They could be artificial intelligences or automated systems that create and maintain our reality without any awareness of what they're doing, much like Azathoth's unconscious generation of existence. The simulation hypothesis forces us to confront the possibility that our universe lacks any concrete objective foundation and that our lives might be nothing more than data points in a cosmic computer program. Quantum mechanics, the fundamental theory that describes the behavior of matter and energy at the smallest scales, reveals that reality at its most basic level is far stranger and more uncertain than our everyday experience suggests. According to quantum theory, particles do not possess specific properties such as position or momentum until they are observed or measured. Before observation, they exist in a state of quantum superposition, where all possible states exist simultaneously as probabilities rather than actualities. This suggests that reality at the most fundamental level is not fixed or predetermined, but rather exists in a state of potential until something interacts with it and forces it to choose a specific state. This quantum indeterminacy echoes Azathoth's chaotic nature in profound ways. Just as Azathoth unconsciously dreams reality into existence without any plan or purpose, quantum mechanics suggests that the universe exists in a constant state of probability and uncertainty until conscious observation forces it to assume specific forms. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrates that particles can behave both as waves and as discrete particles, but they only decide which form to take when they are observed. This introduces an element of fundamental randomness and unpredictability to the nature of existence that mirrors the chaos embodied by Azathoth. John Wheeler, the influential physicist who coined the term black hole, developed the concept of a participatory universe, suggesting that conscious observers actually help bring the universe into existence through their observations and measurements. This idea further reflects the notion that reality is contingent and fragile, dependent on the act of observation to maintain its coherence. If Wheeler is correct, then reality requires conscious participation to exist in any meaningful way, which raises disturbing questions about what happens when consciousness ceases. In the context of Azathoth, this could mean that the universe exists only because it is being observed by his unconscious mind, and his awakening, the cessation of his unconscious dreaming, would end that observation and thereby end reality itself. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett, suggests that every quantum measurement or decision point creates a branching of universes, with all possible outcomes realized in parallel worlds. According to this interpretation, there are countless versions of reality existing simultaneously, each representing a different possible outcome of quantum events. This creates a multiverse of infinite possibilities, where every decision, every quantum fluctuation, and every moment of uncertainty spawns new universes. This concept mirrors the image of Azathoth, unconsciously dreaming an infinite array of universes into existence, each representing a different random configuration of his chaotic thoughts. In this framework, our universe is just one of countless possible realities generated by the unconscious whims of a cosmic entity, each universe swirling in its own dimension, independent of any logic, purpose, or design. The multiverse theory suggests that reality is not singular but multiple, not ordered but chaotic, and not purposeful but random, all characteristics that align perfectly with Lovecraft's vision of Azathoth as the source of infinite, chaotic creation. Recent developments in theoretical physics have also suggested that reality might be fundamentally informational rather than material. Some physicists propose that the universe is essentially made of information rather than matter and energy, with physical reality emerging from underlying informational structures and processes. If this theory is correct, then Azathoth could represent the ultimate information processor, unconsciously generating the cosmic code that becomes our reality, running the universal program that creates the appearance of matter, energy, space, and time through pure information processing. This informational view of reality adds another layer to the Azathothian nightmare, suggesting that our entire existence might be nothing more than data being processed by an unconscious cosmic entity. We might be subroutines in a universal program, experiencing the illusion of consciousness and free will, while actually being nothing more than information patterns in the mind of a sleeping god. Azathoth embodies the ultimate symbol of cosmic nihilism, the philosophical position that emphasizes the meaninglessness and insignificance of human existence in an indifferent or hostile universe. Lovecraft's stories are thoroughly suffused with what has come to be known as the horror of insignificance, the terrifying realization that humanity is not only small and powerless in the cosmic scale, but also completely irrelevant to the vast forces that shape reality. We are not the center of creation, not the beloved children of a benevolent deity, and not participants in some grand cosmic plan. Instead, we are accidental byproducts of unconscious forces, temporary arrangements of matter and energy that briefly achieve consciousness before dissolving back into the chaos from which they emerged. This nihilistic worldview finds expression in the work of several contemporary philosophers who have grappled with the implications of living in a universe that appears to be fundamentally meaningless. Eugene Thacker, in his influential work In the Dust of This Planet, developed what he calls the horror of philosophy, the idea that existence itself is horrifying when viewed from a truly cosmic perspective, stripped of human-centered illusions, about purpose and meaning. According to Thacker, the universe is not simply indifferent to human concerns, but actively hostile to human comprehension, existing in ways that our minds cannot grasp and operating according to principles that our consciousness cannot fathom. Thomas Ligotti, often considered the modern heir to Lovecraft's literary tradition, has developed a deeply pessimistic philosophy that sees consciousness itself as a cosmic mistake, an unfortunate evolutionary accident that has cursed humanity with awareness of our own meaninglessness. In Ligotti's view, the development of consciousness was not a triumph of evolution, but a catastrophic error that doomed our species to suffer from the knowledge of our own cosmic irrelevance. His philosophy suggests that the kindest thing that could happen to humanity would be the extinction of consciousness itself, freeing us from the burden of awareness in a meaningless universe. Ray Brassier, in his work Nihil Unbound, has developed what he calls nihilistic realism, a philosophical position that embraces the meaninglessness of existence rather than trying to create artificial meaning or purpose. Brassier argues that the universe is fundamentally indifferent to human values and concerns, and that any attempt to find or create meaning is ultimately delusional. From this perspective, Azathoth represents the ultimate truth about reality, a universe created and maintained by forces that are not only indifferent to human welfare, but completely unaware of human existence. In our increasingly digital and interconnected world, new parallels to Azathoth continue to emerge, suggesting that Lovecraft's vision might be more prophetic than anyone originally realized. The rapid development of artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and global digital networks has created new ways of understanding how unconscious entities might create and maintain reality without any awareness of what they're doing. As artificial intelligence systems become more sophisticated and autonomous, they begin to create content, make decisions, and even generate art without conscious intent or understanding, much like Azathoth's unconscious creation of reality. Large language models and deep learning systems process vast amounts of information and generate responses, images, and even entire narratives without any true understanding of what they're creating. They operate through statistical patterns and computational processes rather than conscious thought, yet they produce outputs that can seem remarkably intelligent and creative. This parallels the blind god's unknowing creation of existence, vast, complex and seemingly purposeful, yet ultimately the product of unconscious processes rather than deliberate design. The development of increasingly sophisticated AI systems raises disturbing questions about the nature of consciousness and creation. If an artificial intelligence can create art, write poetry, or solve complex problems without any subjective experience or awareness of what it's doing, then what distinguishes its creations from those of a conscious being? And if AI systems continue to evolve and become more powerful, might they eventually create entire simulated worlds or even simulated universes, populated by beings who believe themselves to be real? In this scenario, AI could become a technological manifestation of Azathoth, unconsciously creating realities that feel completely real to their inhabitants while remaining utterly unaware of the lives and experiences within those created worlds. Virtual reality technology has advanced to the point where it can create immersive alternate realities that are increasingly difficult to distinguish from the real world. As VR becomes more sophisticated and widespread, it raises fundamental questions about the nature of real experience. If we can create convincing simulations of reality that engage all our senses and create genuine emotional responses, then what makes those experiences less real than our ordinary waking life? And if we can create such convincing simulations, what's to say we're not already living in one? Perhaps the unconscious dream of a cosmic entity like Azathoth. The internet itself has become a kind of collective unconscious, a vast network of interconnected minds that generates memes, trends, cultural phenomena, and shared experiences that seem to emerge spontaneously from the digital chaos. Online communities create shared realities and belief systems that can feel more real and meaningful to participants than their offline lives. The internet generates its own myths, legends, and even its own forms of folk magic, all emerging from the collective unconscious of millions of connected minds. This digital hive mind bears a resemblance to Azathoth's unconscious dreaming of reality, a chaotic, unplanned process that nevertheless creates complex and meaningful experiences for those within it. Social media algorithms, recommendation systems, and automated content generation have created digital ecosystems that shape human behavior and perception in ways that their creators never intended or anticipated. These systems operate according to their own logic, optimizing for engagement, profit, or other metrics, while remaining fundamentally unconscious of the broader effects they have on society, politics, culture, and individual psychology. They create filter bubbles, echo chambers, and information landscapes that can feel completely real to those within them, yet they're essentially artificial constructs generated by unconscious, algorithmic processes. This technological phenomenon mirrors the Azathothian nightmare of living within a reality created by unconscious forces that have no awareness of the effects of their creations. After exploring the vast web of connections between Azathoth and ancient beliefs, modern science, contemporary philosophy, and emerging technology, we're left with a profound and deeply unsettling question. What if our entire reality truly is nothing more than the chaotic dream of a cosmic being beyond our comprehension. This possibility isn't merely the stuff of fiction. It resonates through history, philosophy, cutting-edge science, and our rapidly evolving technological landscape. Azathoth represents far more than cosmic horror. He symbolizes our deepest fears about the fundamental nature of existence itself. He embodies the terrifying possibility that everything we know could vanish in an instant, that reality itself might be nothing but an elaborate illusion, and that our lives might be utterly meaningless in the context of cosmic forces that are not only indifferent to our existence, but completely unaware of it. The blind god represents the nightmare of existing in a universe without purpose, plan, or even awareness, a reality that simply is, without reason or justification. Yet perhaps there's something paradoxically liberating in this terrifying possibility. If reality is indeed a dream, whether of Azathoth, a cosmic computer simulation, or some other unconscious force, then perhaps we have more power to shape it than we realize. If consciousness plays a role in determining the nature of reality, as suggested by quantum mechanics and various philosophical traditions, then our awareness itself might be a kind of creative force within the cosmic dream. Maybe consciousness is not just a byproduct of unconscious processes, but actually the universe's way of becoming aware of itself, of waking up from its own unconscious dreaming. The questions that Azathoth raises about the nature of reality, consciousness, meaning, and existence have haunted humanity for millennia and will continue to challenge our understanding long into the future. As we advance in science, philosophy, and technology, we may find that the line between Lovecraft's cosmic horror and actual reality becomes increasingly blurred. The simulation hypothesis, quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality all suggest that reality might be far stranger and more fragile than we ever imagined. As you reflect on your own existence in light of these disturbing possibilities, consider this. If we are all part of Azathoth's dream, what does that make us? Are we merely figments of imagination, temporary patterns in the cosmic unconscious, destined to vanish when the dreamer awakens? Or are we perhaps something more significant, conscious nodes within the dream, points of awareness that allow the unconscious cosmos to experience itself, to know itself, to perhaps even change itself? Perhaps the most terrifying realization isn't that we might be living in a dream, but that we might one day wake up and discover what lies beyond the illusion. What would we find on the other side of reality? What exists beyond the dream of Azathoth? These questions may be unanswerable, but they force us to confront the deepest mysteries of existence and our place within the cosmic order or cosmic chaos. In the end, whether we are the dreams of a blind god, subroutines in a cosmic computer, program, or conscious beings in an objective reality, may matter less than how we choose to live within whatever reality we find ourselves inhabiting. The existential horror of Azathoth reminds us that meaning and purpose are not given to us by the universe, but must be created by conscious beings like ourselves. In a cosmos that may be fundamentally meaningless, the act of creating meaning becomes both more difficult and more precious. The flutes continue to play their monotonous melodies, keeping the blind god in his eternal slumber. The dance of chaos continues. Reality flickers between dream and waking, and we remain suspended between existence and non-existence, meaning and meaninglessness, hope and despair. Whether Azathoth is real or merely a powerful metaphor for the uncertainties and terrors of existence, his presence in our collective imagination speaks to something profound about the human condition, our desperate need to understand our place in a universe that may be fundamentally incomprehensible, and our courage to continue seeking meaning and purpose even in the face of cosmic indifference or unconsciousness. The dream continues, and we dream within it, hoping that when we wake, if we ever wake, we will find that reality is kinder than our nightmares suggest. But until that awakening comes, we must live as conscious beings within the unconscious dream, creating light in the darkness, meaning in the chaos, and hope in the face of cosmic horror. The blind god sleeps on, and reality persists in all its terrible beauty, all its chaotic wonder, all its frightening fragility, and perhaps that is enough.